Say the most challenging part of these installations is putting up with her.
Him.
And the 4-H's stand for head, heart, health, and hands. And the motto is to make the best better. And truly, 4-H is a program that gives young people an opportunity to find their spark.
And thanks to Done Right, the great team,
Is that what it is?
yes, that installed everything, got everything working, and brought the whole camp electrical system up to date. It makes the maintenance much easier.
Just, oh, that's the roof.
Yep.
Welcome to the inverter room. So there's 30 of your Pytes V5 batteries in here, 3 of the Sol-Ark 15K inverters. We do still have the generators that act as a backup power source, and they all mix and get put together here. Say the most challenging part of these installations is putting up with her.
Him.
No, but for sure the most challenging part of all the off-grid installations, most of these places are anywhere from 10 to 50 miles, from the nearest supply point. Logistics of making sure you have all the job materials on site, make sure you bring all the right equipment, make sure the job has been planned out properly. Anything that you forgot just hurts you, it costs you money to try and fix that. And that's why a lot of contractors don't want to do a lot of this far off-grid stuff. The logistics of it are very difficult, and there's a lot of work that they can do that doesn't require that. But we're geared up for it. We have the equipment to do it. We have a lot of experience in out-of-the-way places, so this is kind of our little niche. Access and roads, we acquired one of these little miniature server racks so that we could enclose it and have it, kind of safe from harm and safe from rodents. And then up on top of there, we also shoehorned in, we're able to talk to this camp via a Starlink. So the Starlink's mounted up on the wall above there, and that's the factory Starlink Wi-Fi that the inverters talk to. So we're able to monitor this or program it or help them figure out if they need to know anything about the inverters remotely.
When we were looking at, after receiving a gift that allowed us to be able to build this new activity pavilion and replace an old activity court that every year we covered with tarps to create a shaded space in the forest, we now have a 50 by 100 foot long covered space for activities, with open sides that allow the natural forest to be here. It also opened the opportunity for some additional youth lodging space, and it also is providing and has provided the platform for the solar installation. The roof holds 90 solar panels, and then part of that enclosed space has been designated for the inverters, the battery, and all of the wiring that's required to then distribute that power to the rest of the camp. We did trenching last fall, and this has been a year-long project. This time last year, we hadn't even poured the slab for the foundation, but it was being prepared at that point. By the first week of December, we had the pavilion up and the enclosed space in, but it was just a shell. Since then, we've been able to finish the youth lodging space, create a mezzanine space for program supply storage, and actually, in case we need a wind-free spot for to work with microscopes and do something that is in a more controlled environment, we have that space now within the new pavilion. And what it also meant that we have been really researching this for the last several years, because knowing that we had solar installations that were covering our solar needs for lights and outlets in cabins when the generator was not on at night. And that was provided through the University of Arizona Sustainability program. What we realized was this building gave us the true opportunity to expand our ability to really make renewable energy and solar our primary energy source. And so philanthropists who are committed, especially in this Prescott area, have come to the table and have helped fund this major project for us. And now, several years later, we now have a completed project that is transformational and will allow for the next phase of how we are able to use energy as a teaching tool for knowing what off-grid living can truly look like, but how we are minimizing our impact, on a natural environment as well. So we are truly taking this opportunity to maximize how something that is not small in my mind, but is practically invisible, because although we see the sun shining, it is about the collection and then the conversion, and then how Pytes batteries are able to store that energy, and then how that energy, once it's stored, is able to be distributed. So we can actually share how this happens in a teachable moment, and many teachable moments. It's something that they really, it goes unnoticed, which means that we're doing our job right, because what they're seeing is we're living in the woods, we still have the amenities we need, and it's worry-free. And so that's exciting on so many levels, and why it means that what we do at the James 4-H Camp Outdoor Learning Center is going to be able to continue for decades into the future.
Before, it was based on the fossil fuel, like diesel, to do the generator backup, that whole came. Right now, the whole came is powered by the solar power system, right? Mm-hmm. So is there any workload of, in your perspective, that can be reduced, or maybe it's kind of different based on the different power system right now?
Yes, since we've gone to the great massive solar power, the diesel generators had to be turned on and off every day. You had to check oil, water levels. Somebody has to be here to maintain them every day. Oils have to be changed. Filters have to be changed, and you have to be careful. You can't spill any diesel. You can't spill the oil. You have to be very aware and careful that you do it correctly. And if you get a leak, a diesel leak or an oil leak can cause huge problems. So you have to check them during the days. You have safeties on them, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work of maintaining them. It's a lot of work of finding parts. During COVID, we had a hard time finding filters, and everything has to run. Everything has to function. And so now it's streamlined. It's on. You can check with your phone. It's working. You don't have to go in there every day. You don't have to get up at 5 in the morning to turn them on. You don't have to stay up till 10 o'clock at night. For some of us that like to be in bed a little earlier, you can go to bed earlier and you don't have to go shut everything off. And then during the day, you don't have to check them all the time every day. And we're open 24/7. So we have 155 people rolling in and out of here. We got youth groups, programs. We're very active. And now we take one thing off our list. And that is great.
Gives you time for more gabions.
It does. We can haul more rocks. What could be better?
Just the two of us. So our average day will be, a short day would be a 10-hour work day, and generally that more like 12, 14 plus hours. And it's one thing to work with anybody for that amount of time, but to work with your spouse or significant other adds additional pressures for sure. And we have had to learn a little bit on how to deal with that pressure with each other, communicate a little bit better. Sometimes you just need to take a step away. The installation process of installing the batteries. I guess it's kind of standard for us, especially at these, multiple battery installs. We turn each battery on individually, check for voltage, make sure they're, within a half a volt of each other before we let them, connect. And honestly, even this is our first install that used one of your hubs. I forget what you actually call that little device.
That's right.
And we were kind of afraid we were going to have some issues with that many different communication cables and whatnot. And we actually did have one issue, and I think it just had to do with the sequence of powering the hub up. And we just power cycled everything, and it just worked from day one. We didn't have to do anything. All the batteries fortunately showed up at basically the same state of charge, which is nice because having to charge individual batteries is kind of a tedious process on the job site. And we just wired them up, turned them on, and they've been doing their thing now for over 2 months.
Over 2 months now, yeah.
Without, that's it. That's all we did.
Yeah.
And Pytes obviously is one of the battery partners with Sol-Ark, and we really like that because having a closed loop communication battery, particularly with the Sol-Ark inverter, actually makes our job far easier because the battery is really driving the inverter at that point. So it makes our programming easier. It just kind of plug and play almost.
Well, we've done multiple installations with the Pytes batteries,
Yeah.
including our trailer, our work trailer.
Yeah.
Has the Pytes. We have 3 of the Pytes batteries in that.
Yeah. Yeah. We just did another small
installation.
Sol-Ark install with I think 2 of your V5s. We did another install that has 6
of them.
6 on a 115K, all off grid.
Yeah.
I've not had any problems with the batteries. Been pretty happy with it. And certainly right now, you guys are at a price point that's for reputable battery manufacturers. I know there's cheaper batteries out there that we wouldn't touch. You guys have the UL listings. You have reputable sales outlets such as Northern Arizona Solar that are backing that up. I think you guys are at one of the most competitive price points in the country that I'm aware of right now. So.
Usually, this post represented our counties in Arizona. This is a meeting space and a gathering space. It kind of sets up like a stage as well.
open the big door.
Okay.
So this is the diesel generator room, and this is what the entire camp used to run on, and it's hard to see, but there's actually 3 diesel generators in here. And one of these generators was always having to run from basically 5 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night every day that they were in operation. And like any prime mover generator, they needed a lot of maintenance. What they told us is pretty much every year at least one of these generators would break down, so they had to have 3 of them just to ensure continuous power. And now what has happened is we've just selected one of these generators that's controlled by the inverter, and it will only run, literally the only time it'll run is if they get snowed in and have no solar production for more than about 3 days. Then the generator will have to kick on for a couple hours to just charge the batteries enough to get them to the next snow melt. And I guess the other thing that happens here is because this used to be the power distribution hub for the whole camp, all of the power from the solar panels comes into this panel right here once it leaves the inverter room, and then from this point it's distributed to the entire park. So we retrofitted this panel, added to this gutter up here to give us some wirelay room, and everything goes out from here. We first got here is the park was originally designed to run on like this 15 kW generator, and the newer generators got bigger and bigger, but the wiring size and the fuse size out of what sends power to the park was always sized for that 15 kilowatts. None of these generators were ever able to provide more than that 15 kW because the wiring was never upgraded to support it. So, again, like the inverter power system right now is literally by the numbers 3 times larger than what the generators could produce. So that's pretty neat.
Hi, curly, muddy girl.
I'll be next to